Hello, everyone. This is Rids,
I'm S.
and today we're going to be talking about top 10 cliche breaking moments in IPK.
Absolutely. I think at the end of the day, no matter what we say about
It's
IPK,
also the end of this day. We're recording this at 11:20 p.m.
yes, at the end of the day, one of the reasons why IPK remains its evergreen best is because there were some things about this show that really set it apart from its contemporaries and actually made this genre of romantic drama really famous. And in my eyes, it's still one of the best shows in its genre. Everything else has been a sheer disappointment.
Including the second half of IPK itself. Now that I've started roasting it, let's praise it a little bit, I suppose. Why don't you go ahead with your first one?
I think one of the first things that I was very happy to watch, and I keep on harping this until the end of my life, is how they made Lavanya a good, positive character. I cannot say this enough, but it was really nice to make Lavanya a positive character because, in their own small way, that's a way of making her independent of who she is to Arnav. Her character traits were not reflective of what she stands to Kushi or Arnav. It's who she is. She's a good person. If they only treated her as someone instrumental to Kushi and Arnav's relationship, then they would have her as the classic vamp hero's girlfriend. But by making her a good character, they actually give her a sort of independence that she's a good human being, and it does not really matter what she is to Arnav and Kushi's love story. She's a great friend to Kushi, and that is the most important part of her track.
Yes, I think Lavanya, and I stand by this, Lavanya had the best character arc beginning to end. There was a clear growth. Her arc ended where it needed to end. I think a well written book or a character or show, whatever you want to call it, is one when it ends, you want it back. You want more. You want to know a little bit more about it. And Lavanya's character was like that. I was, I was and am still a person who wanted to see Lavanya come back and have a relationship with NK because I think those two pure souls deserved each other. But I don't know, she left you wanting more, right? And I think that's a indication of a well-written character. My One of my cliche breaking, I guess, moments. I don't know if this quite fits the bill, but I personally really enjoyed it. Is the resignation scene, Kushi's resignation scene. One, it was written very efficiently. Like she says all the things she needs to say, but she's not overly emotional. She isn't like it's a very good confrontation. It's a good end of an arc, and I love the fact that it breaks that cycle of suffering for the greater good that most of the time exists in shows. Like she's not a character who is afraid of the consequences um, of breaking that contract. I love the fact that, and this is also tied into this, I love the fact that Arnav rescuing her from that situation did not absolve him of having put her in the situation in the first place. And I think the resignation scene captures that very well. Just because you did something to fix the situation doesn't mean that situation isn't still problematic. Yeah, and I found that very like a good like an interesting. I mean, not that I've watched many Indian shows, so I cannot compare, but I don't think that's a scene that would have existed in many shows.
I agree. The next thing that I found really cliche breaking and beautiful in the show is that how they deal with Arnav's mental health. I mean, unfortunately, they do not give that much of gravity to Kushi's mental health, but what I really liked is Kushi is not the Wonder Woman all stop solution to Arnav's PTSD from his parents' death. The fact that he still has nightmares, yes, in lesser frequency, but then once he gets comfortable with Kushi, once Dadi comes back, once he's triggered, he continues getting those nightmares, and we can only safely assume that he's gotten better is when he confronts with Dadi, when he confronts with his past, when he finally sees a resolution through it that is completely not connected to Kushi existing in his life. Yes, Kushi's connected with his life, she is his support system, but at no point is Kushi the cure. of Arnav's issues. She becomes a good ally. And I think that is incredibly important. I think I really loved how he discusses his mother's suicide, and Khushi's not like what had to happen. Rather, she just hugs him and just gives him the silent support that he needs. And this is the only time when Khushi does not pry for information, which I think is a very beautiful way of showing that how to support someone who's gone through serious trauma.
I think it also shows a certain level of understanding of each other at this point. The fact that Arnav's not someone who needs to, not needs, who would find it beneficial to talk about it with her. If he thinks it is, he would speak. And I think just being there silently supporting him is the best thing for him at that moment. Like her having learned that, I think shows a certain growth in their relationship and each of their characters as well. My next point is the fact that they have sex before marriage. Technically, they are getting remarried because they don't believe the first marriage to be valid, I suppose. But I just like the fact that they showed that really has, like, as long as there's love and consent in the relationship, marriage isn't a prerequisite for sex. They get it wrong a lot of times before getting it right, but they do get it right.
Yes. I mean, I cribbed a lot that marriage is given excessive importance in IPK. What I really love about this particular scene is that the night that they actually have sex, it's only because they want to. There's no suhagrat ka sage, as they say, though. It's not like the bed is ready with roses. Arnav does not bring Khushi over there to show the stars because he intends to have sex with her. No, that is not the thing. He brings her here because he planned a surprise for her to show her the stars. And then they get carried away by the emotion. But what I really like is that they're not excessively carried away. This could have easily been a moment. Usually, characters who have sex before marriage on screen are punished in a way. That is, Kushi has a baby, and Arnav would have never showed up to the wedding. Then Kushi has a baby, and she suffered through a difficult pregnancy and all of that shit. Nothing happens over there. In fact, it was a conscious decision that they both chose to have sex. That's confirmed by the conversation next day, where Arnav asks her if she's okay because it was the first time she had it, and she's like, "Oh, she's happy, she's fine, and she's more than excited to get married to him." I think that was a very mature take on how sex should be. And the next thing that I really liked is that they promoted divorce. Again, I kept on harping about how IPK focuses on marriage, but what I really liked that the end goal for Anjali and Sham's relationship was Sham in jail and Anjali getting divorced. At no point in the show did any of the characters, apart from in the beginning, I'm talking about the main reveal. After the main reveal, nobody ever thought that Anjali should give Sham a chance because marriage is marriage.
And the only character that did, they clearly showed as the wrong one, Dadi.
Ye- Yes.
Um,
Dadi was, and I really liked it that they made it very evident in the second half of the show that the only reason that they're allowing Sham back is not because they have a long term plan for Sham. It's because they know currently Anjali's in a very fragile state and they want her to be strong enough. And I really like it that the divorce is handled very maturely. Like once the divorce happened, Anjali is not overnight ready to get married to Aman, which we know she'll end up with Aman. That is her soulmate. But what I really like is that Anjali still has her moments of, that pang of loneliness after being happily married for 3 years. I really like it that they don't make divorce a big deal, which is great. Everyone assumes Anjali being single again as the most natural cause, the most natural effect and result of what happened.
yeah. Um, and I like the fact that even when they do let Sham back in, none of them actually consider, like, his place in their life is not renewed, except Anjali's. But that has its own issues and the reasons, I suppose.
I mean, Anjali has been in an abusive, manipulative
Yeah,
relationship, so
it's shown that her being that way is because she's been manipulated and not because that, like, he's her husband. That's not, like, I think it, I also like the fact that they don't focus the relationship between Anjali and Sham as like, you know, he's my husband, what will I do without him? That's not, she loves him, and that's the reason she wants him back. It has very little to do with the institution of marriage itself.
Yeah, no, I that's why it pissed me off so well when so much when Kushi tells Arnav that the reason she brought Sham back is because Sham is Anjali's pati.
Mhm.
I'm like, Kushi, I will now throw you off that roof that you were mandraing around a few months ago. I will throw you off that roof. What are you saying? I think that was just done to appease a certain kind of audience that I found very, very problematic. But apart from that, I like the way this is dealt with.
Continuing on from my point before this one, I like the fact that the show handles attraction and lust respectfully. Like, there's a place for it, and I think the relationship between Arnav and Kushi is such that they would have fallen into this before they could have ever fallen in love. It kind of needed to progress that way. There needed to be an interest in each other before because it's not puppy love. Like, Akash and Payal makes sense. Arnav and Kushi could never have had that relationship, and I like the fact that it's given its own gravity, and it's not treated like a bad thing. Like the Diwali moment, it's heartbreaking because Kushi thinks it's something more, but you can see that that moment, like quote unquote moment of weakness or whatever you want to call it, is never treated improperly. And it's not love then. I don't think it's love then. They fall in love later.
Arnav and Kushi at that point, I think they beautifully show that they face such an intense amount of attraction towards each other that a lot of symptoms might be mistaken for true love. Like Arnav at that point would go berserk if Kushi went missing. Kushi wouldn't be able to take it if Kushi fell deeply in love. For Kushi, it was kind of like a puppy love because she started seeing stars, she started seeing flowers, she started daydreaming about Arnav and everything. They both experience love in what in their language love is, but I think when they break up, or not sort of break up, like when that heartbreaking moment happens, you see that neither of them were really ready for a relationship or even like acknowledging their feelings for each other. Arnav is a bit immature, asking Kushi for answers after he's told the whole wide world that he's getting engaged with Lavanya. It makes no sense. Like he cannot handle his own jealousy and pain when he learns that Kushi's gotten engaged, which makes you realize that these two people, they have the right emotions, they are the people to end up for each other, but it's not just the right time. Two correct people can be together at the wrong time. And I think that's what happened, and I think I really like that they do validate lust as a as an emotion. The next scene that I really like, that I think is very cliche breaking, is that Kushi has a very healthy relationship with her in-laws. Like, her in-laws love her. There is no sas bahu drama between Kushi and her family. Like, yes, everything that happens is due to Sham and everything, but if you put Sham out of the picture, Anjali adores Kushi. Anjali makes it her duty to make Kushi feel welcomed into the family by following all the rituals. Nani loves Kushi. Towards the end, Mami also loves Kushi. Like, at the end of the show, one of my favorite things that would happen is if Anjali, Nani, Mami see that Kushi's upset, they would all know that Arnav has done something, and Arnav now needs to go and apologize to his wife, and he needs to know how to handle her. And handle her in the sense, like, not fix Kushi's anger, but go and apologize for his mistakes and make amends. I love it how the whole family is just so proud and supportive for Kushi. Like, even when Kushi opens her own dabba business, Nani is so happy. Nani's like, sure, go open it. Like, even Manorama is like, what kind of Jory is this? The husband is the owner and the wife is a cook. And Nani just tells Manorama, well, a lot of people said about you getting married into this family. I don't think what Nani does is right. But what I really like is that Nani at that point defends Kushi like her own, which I find really wonderful. Like, Kushi has a brilliant relationship with her in-laws, and that is such a departure from the current shows where all bhabis and nanads and sas or mother-in-laws are plotting and planning to make sure. One show's main crux only is the mother-in-law trying to kick out the daughter-in-law from the household. In this case, we don't have that.
Yeah, there's really, I like the way, barring like all the sham bullshit, I like the way, um I'll just mention it here because I didn't have it as a point, but equal respect is given to both households in the marriage. Like Arnav gives the same level of respect to Kushi's family as Kushi gives his family, and neither of their, like, they're treated with the same amount of care, to put it in a way. Like if Shashi's not feeling well, Arnav is equally as concerned as Kushi is, and if something happens in Arnav's family, like it's a good. I might not like the relationship between the two if you. I don't know which order these are going up in, but we did a top 10 problematic tropes as well. But I the relationship between Arnav and Kushi might not be the healthiest, but the relationship between the families and them is really like a breath of fresh air.
Yes, there's no ladki wale, ladka wale. There's like there's there in a teasing tone, but on a
Yeah.
serious level, like the fact that in the beginning Arnav does not like completely respect or has some issues with the Guptas, that is immediately highlighted as something that's wrong, and Arnav knows he has to correct it. And I like it that irrespective of his relationship with Kushi, the first thing he tries is to make amends to the way he treated the Guptas.
The next one I have is that you don't have to say yes to a man just because he's quote unquote good. Because we don't know Sham's truth for a while into the show, but the fact that Kushi is not, doesn't feel that way about Sham, that she allows a certain level of freedom to Arnav when it comes to space and how they are around each other, that she does not give Sham. I like the fact that like, Buaji is wrong to force Kushi into a relationship with Sham. You get that, even if he is a good man, even if you had knew nothing about Sham being like, if Sham was a single man, it still wouldn't have been okay.
I cannot emphasize enough on that. And my honorable mention before my final point is I really like how they slowly and gradually develop the intimacy between Arnav and Kushi. Because sometimes I find it very weird in shows like the only time we see the couple coming close or like kissing each other is when they do the main deed. And I'm just a bit worried when that happens. But what I really liked, barring the weird Suhagrat attempt 1 and Suhagrat attempt 2, what I really like in this show is that when it goes towards like Arnav and Kushi getting married, especially during remarriage, I really like that Arnav and Kushi slowly and gradually they start shedding inhibitions around each other. And it is very refreshing to see that intimacy takes time to progress. I really like that Arnav and Kushi at first get used to sharing the same room, the same space with each other. Slowly and gradually, it goes from kisses to hugs to more like dancing, getting closer and closer and closer until the main thing happens. Like when the deed happens, they're very comfortable in each other's spaces and physical touches and affections. Like at that point, Kushi knows how it is to be close to Arnav, and Arnav knows how it is to be close to Kushi. They both know each other's boundaries very well, which I think is very critical for a relationship.
It's also like, if I think this also ties into that like attraction point we made before. They had the before it was even anything, they had those like little touches and moments of closeness before it developed into a full blown thing. And my final thing is the relationship between NK and Kushi. I think it's a wonderful, like, NK to Kushi, Lavanya to Arnav. Like that was a relationship that progressed a lot more. NK is someone who's interested in Kushi, but the foundation of the relationship is friendship, and that does not change. In fact, it gets much stronger after Arnav and Kushi get married. I hate the word friend zone. Like it, if I ever hear anyone use it, I will slap them, because it doesn't exist. No one owes you, like, just because you're a nice guy doesn't mean anyone owes you a relationship or anything else. So I love the fact that NK is just someone who sees that, he's interested in Kushi, he sees some potential there, but the minute he realizes Cushy's not like Cushy's whatever, unavailable, uninterested in this, he steps back respectfully and he's her friend because that's the relationship that they have.
Yeah, like easily they could have made NK a negative character after a few episodes because he wanted Kushi's affections and he did not get it. I mean, first of all, if you think that you being a nice guy means that you have a relationship with someone, then I think that's a massive indicator that you are not a nice guy or a nice girl or a nice whoever. You're not a nice person if you think you being nice means it should be reciprocated with a relationship. My last thing is Arnav's sorry, the first sorry to Kushi. I like it that it's not trivialized because more than often we see it in some shows where getting a sorry out of a character can be a very comical thing and stuff like that. What I really like over here is that Kushi's not demanding a sorry over other things. She's demanding a sorry over one comment that he made that he had no right to say. And I like it that Kushi, it's a very it's a very uncliche way of how she approaches it because Arnav tries to tell her that he did not know about her. So Kushi steps back and she's like, "Oh, you don't know about me? Here, know about me. I've had as much as problems. She does not belittle his problem. She never tells that I'm also an orphan. She tells, no, these are my list of issues. These are my fears. This is the pain I've gone through. So now that was your excuse that you would have never hurt me, you would have apologized had you known I faced the same thing. So here it is, apologize to me right now. And even after he apologized, Kushi is not like, okay, she just walks away from there. And then she comments later with her sister that then she later comments on how bizarre it was for him to apologize for something that shouldn't have taken so much of effort. And I like it that the very next day she's forgiving in nature. She goes up to him, she smiles, and when she sees that he does not return smile, she's like, okay, fine. Like the fact that I always like about Kushi is one act from Arnav makes no big difference in her mind. The only act that ever does is when Arnav gives, like, those little doves to pigeons to that baby. But apart from that, when Kushi realizes that Arnav is back to being who he is, she lets it slide and she's like, fine, all right, this is who he is as a person. And when Arnav says sorry again, that's when she's like, oh, maybe it's my lucky day. But what I really like is that she does not allow any of these moments to change her impression of him on a 180 scale. He never becomes a Devta or a Prince Charming in her eyes. She just truly falls in love with who he is as a person. And I think that is very nice.
Yeah, it's to a certain extent they also follow through with the, like you said, whatever Arnav does post something does not forgive the act itself.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of stick to that for a little while and then they give up. But it was nice to have when it was around. And I think is also something that's rare in shows in general. I think with that we can wrap up this segment. I hope you enjoyed listening to it. Let us know what you thought were unusual moments or cliche breaking, quote unquote. We will see you with another episode soon.
Bye bye.
Bye.